Hello everyone. Today I will be disassembling my HP Pavilion laptop because the fan has been making really loud noises and I figured out that it needed to be lubed. First, we're going to remove all the outside case screws. And I'm using just a regular Phillips screwdriver, a very small one. And I also have another smaller screwdriver to take out the fan. Okay, after we finish unscrewing all the outside case screws, we take apart our hard drive covering and also our RAM covering. That's the RAM right there and that's the hard drive. The first thing I did was to unplug the battery, because you wouldn't want any electricity running through your laptop which could damage your component. So now we are going to unscrew the screws that are in the battery slot right here. There are about 4 on this side and 3 on this side. So after removing the screws, I'm going to remove my hard drive and my wireless connections right there. So what I do is I'm going to unplug these little plugs, gently pull them up. Then I'm going to use my screwdriver to remove my wireless thing right here that is connected to the keyboard. And gently pull it out. Be careful not to touch the gold tips. So now I'm going to remove my hard drive. So after finishing taking out my hard drive, you really don't have to take out your RAM because it's connected to the motherboard. Now you can remove your CD DVD drive because the screw that was holding it in was also holding in the hard drive. So when that screw is removed, you can easily pull out your CD drive and put it aside. Now you're going to flip over your laptop on the right side and open the lid. Now, since the screws to the keyboard are out, you can lift your keyboard up. Just like that. Now, be careful because when you lift your keyboard up, there's going to be a little clip under the keyboard which holds the keyboard or connects the keyboard to the motherboard. You lift this little clip right here and you pull out the wire. And the keyboard comes out just like that. Very easy. So now there are a few more clips and such all over the case. So what you do now is you keep lifting each latch, you lift it up and you remove the wires that are connected to it. So here we'd want to remove the power button cable from its position. So after we've finished removing all the clips and the cables, we'd want to pry the case off by getting something a tool that can be used around the edges, or you can use your fingers to carefully pry the case off. And then we lift the case and place it aside. So now here is the motherboard. That's the fan and that's what we want to get at. First we have to remove these screws. There's one right there and another right there. And also we'd want to unplug all the different connections that are on the motherboard. And here we'd want to gently pull this plug out. So now, after we finish taking out our wires and screws, there's also one screw that is holding the fan down onto the motherboard. We'd want to remove that screw. And on my specific model, I have to remove a screw right here to get the motherboard out. So now after we remove the screws, we'd want to gently lift the motherboard out by the side. And we have nothing left to do with the case, so we place it apart. And here is our motherboard out of the case. So now we have to flip our motherboard over by again holding the edges. To remove the fan, we have to take out those 3 screws. And also unplug the power connector from the motherboard that leads to the fan. Just like that. And we use our screwdriver again to unscrew these screws. Then after removing all those 3 screws, we gently lift our fan from the motherboard. And that's our CPU and that's our graphics card. And here is the fan which we wanted all along. So we use the smaller screwdriver to pull out a few screws that are holding the fan in the case, in the fan's case. After taking out those screws from the case, we want to pull the case apart from the fan. And we place that aside. So here's the fan once again outside its case. Now we want to gently lift the fan out just like this. So now I'm using regular motor vehicle oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my motor vehicle oil and I'm going to place a tip right here, right there in the center. Place a tip of motor vehicle oil right there in the center, and then I'm going to replace back the fan and spin it a couple times so the oil can get settled. So now after doing that, I want to replace my fan and place back all the parts just as how I took them apart. So please remember how you took them apart, replace all the clips and screws, and thanks for watching.